say society is taking open heart about the pupils' divorce, but in front of government authority, in the court, in the lawmakers and policy makers, not able to cope up and make the necessary changes which makes this divorce less painful. Resulting in the depression, there is two things happen. Either he kill himself or take the life of other spouse.
Right.
And maximum crime is happening. If you go through the crime record, spouse murder or spouse these things on that period. And when we go through the suicide statistics, though the married man's suicide is double than married woman, but very surprisingly, after divorce, men and women suicide is same. But another aspects, separated man and separated woman means you are separated but not got divorced. That time, men suicide rate is double than women.
Right.
Means the process of divorce is very dangerous for a man, and as a society, this was early 2000, it was happened. If I seek for a divorce, everybody will tell me, you are a wife beater,
That's
you
right,
are a
that's
wife
right.
abuser.
Exactly. Sarup, we will come to that, and before actually taking Dr. Desai, we have with us a viewer. This is Mamta from Rohtak. Mamta, if you can hear me, what's your question?
मैम आई कैन हियर यू. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मेरे ब्रदर इन लॉ हैं
जी,
और 2 साल हो गए हैं उनकी वाइफ अपने घर में रह रही है और उनका ये रीजन है कि मेरे जो मदर इन लॉ फादर इन लॉ है उन्हें घर की प्रॉपर्टी वगैरह से अलग कर दिया क्योंकि वो घर में ठीक से नहीं रहते थे. वो अब्यूसिव लैंग्वेज यूज करते थे हमेशा मेरे फादर इन लॉ के साथ, मदर इन लॉ के साथ, दोनों मेरे ब्रदर इन लॉ भी और वो उनकी वाइफ भी. अब जब उन्हें अलग कर दिया उसके बाद वो अपने मायके चली गई हैं. 2 साल हो गए वो अपने वापस नहीं आती. मेरे फादर इन लॉ मदर इन लॉ ने काफी कोशिश की थी उनकी मैरिड लाइफ सेटल हो जाए. उनकी एक लड़की भी है 6 साल की.
आपका सवाल क्या है? आप यू विल हैव टू कम टू द पॉइंट. आई एम अफ्रेड mamta. यस,
साइलेंस में साइकोलॉजिस्ट है मैम
जी.
उनसे ये क्वेश्चन है कि हमें करना क्या चाहिए क्योंकि हम नहीं चाहते कि उनका डिवोर्स हो क्योंकि एक तरह से पेरेंट्स जो है हमारे घर की फैमिली जो है वो पूरी तरह से साइकोलॉजिकली डिस्टर्ब रहती है क्योंकि वो इकट्ठे भी नहीं हो पा रहे हैं.
That's right.
और हम नहीं चाहते कि उनका डिवोर्स हो.
Mamta, thank you so much for that question. I can understand the pain and the agony that your family is going through because of that very case. Well, I'll put your question to Dr. Desai. What would you like to tell Mamta?
What I'd like to say to Mamta, and through the answer to that question, to share with the entire audience, is the basic facts. One, in almost every human society, in recorded history, the effort would be, as our sociology colleague said, to consider the institution as sacrosanct and to preserve it. The degree to which individuals and society might strive to maintain the marital unit will vary. But certainly in most societies it would be so. In societies like ours, that effort would be much more. That effort internally because of the values that you carry, the spiritual system that you carry, the expectations from the society, implicit and explicit, as well as the direct, messages that the society will give you if you even think of, like this young lady is saying. What's crucial, I think, is a theme that's favorite of mine, but I think it applies to most situations. In a transitional society like ours, there are more difficulties.
Right.
You see, there are societies, we went through that, Europe and America went through that some centuries ago, where come what may, the marriage had to be preserved. Which was sad and which undeniably is very unfortunate because there were men and women both, and more women,
Right.
going through hellish life for the entire existence. The children would be going through a terrible experience, and yet the unit would be preserved, right? For a whole lot of reasons that the society thought were necessary. Now, most societies have moved away from that to begin to accept that sometimes the I do may not work, and so it's all right. I mean,
Right.
One doesn't have to make it so rigid. Unfortunately, some other societies in Europe, on the European continent for sure, and the US have kind of gone, I think, to the other extreme.
Right,
right. We are somewhere still in that transition of one being able to accept separation and divorce as facts. Should this young lady's family try come what may to keep them together? I don't think so. It's a little difficult to advise
Just to
on television.
see the family picture, sometimes it's just may not work out. Well, at this point we have with us Kiran from Noida. So Kiran, if you can hear me, welcome to the show, Kiran.
Yes, hello ma'am.
Yes, Kiran.
I think field marriage is not a crime, but both the spouses should have right to seek divorce. it not only affects men but their families also.
True.
The thinking about society and law changes totally, as most of the cases are of dowry and DV Act, which are mostly false.
Yes,
And
yes.
it feels that we have been thrown by the terrorists and the extortionists who has been putting AK-47 on our heads for a very long period. And it is as sensational and traumatizing as the suffering of 26/11. One feels to be slave of independent India, and if the lady takes the child also, the impact is very devastating.
Yes. Well, I'm afraid the impact can be devastating even for the man. Well, at this point, we'll have to slip into a very short break here in Gender Discourse. People, do come back quickly, as we still will be talking about the impact that divorce has on men. Back in a moment. Welcome back. This is Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about the impact of divorce on men. Well, if you are watching, I am really very curious to know as to what do you think about the issue. It is very important for us to know what does the general public really feel about it. So please feel free and call us on this toll-free number, which is 1-800-115313. Now, coming to you, Raj Lakshmi, I'd like to ask you here that in our country, you know, the moment somebody gets divorced, 8 out of 10 cases, the sympathies will always rest with the woman. Everybody will think that the man is an abuser, or he's a wife beater, or as Dr. Desai say, he's a philanderer, or come what may, you know. So how do you really look at that?
Absolutely. This is mainly because, see, what happens is in our society like ours, the women is supposed to be the homemaker. She is referred to as a homemaker. Plus also it's, you know, she who carries the burden of the family. One. Two, she's also recognized as a person whose family's purity depends on her. And then they say that usually ghar ki izzat is with the women. So as a result, the general notion and the way a girl is socialized is to say that, you know, you sacrifice, you cope up and all. So she's constantly, you know, ingrained into her mind. People, you know, the society puts that kind of a pressure on her that it is her responsibility to make a marriage work, even if there is a lot of problem. So, and therefore what happens is the moment the marriage breaks, the whole sympathy goes to her because she is the one who's left with the children. Because usually. And most of the times it also happens because the women want to take up and they feel that the child will be taken care of much better if the child is with the mother. Of course, now the trend is changing. I'm not saying it's the same as it is. There is a trend, but not to that extent that, you know, it's 100% like that. The trend is changing, but what happens is the children's responsibility is with the women, with the mother. So as a result, what happens is women, they all say that, you know, maybe, you know, scared, and there's a lot of stigma attached to the fact that the women will be unable to cope up with the situation like a divorce, plus she may not be able to get married again, you know, the second marriage, because with the children, you know, she will not be accepted as a wife again. So as a result, you know, they all feel, I mean, there is just a kind of a general notion plus a pressure on her to be in the institution of marriage. But if there is a divorce, then automatically the whole burden goes to the man, saying that he is the one who is, you know, thrown her out of the house. Maybe she was, you know, he was so bad that she was unable to cope up. And so therefore everybody tries to put the sympathy on the women. So this is how I would like to look at the whole thing.
Yes.
Very interesting urban phenomenon linked to what Rajalakshmi is saying. I've realized